Hi, this is Jaya. In this video, we shall see the summary of God Sees the Truth but Waits, a short story by Leo Tolstoy. This story, written by the Russian author Leo Tolstoy, was published in 1872. And this is about a young merchant who is sent to a Siberian prison camp for a murder which he did not commit. Praying for God to justice, the merchant spends 26 years in the prison. One day, he finds himself face to face with the man who framed him. The murderer asks the merchant for forgiveness, and the merchant also grants his forgiveness as both men weep. Free from carrying the burden of his resentment, the merchant dies shortly thereafter. This is the theme of the story. Come, let's see in detail. It is a Russian town of Vladimir, and Ivan Dmitrich Akinashev lives as a successful merchant with his wife and young children. One summer, as Akshinov sets off for Nishi Fair to sell his goods, his wife warns him not to go because she had a nightmare in which he returned with grey hair. Hearing this, Akshinov laughs off her concern, and also he interprets the dream as a sign of luck. Now, halfway to the town, he encounters a fellow merchant with whom he stops for the night at an inn. The men chat together, have tea together, and sleep in adjoining rooms. Next day, Akshinov rises before dawn and sets off with his horses and coachmen while the air is cool. After 25 miles, he stops to feed his horses. During this break, two soldiers approach them and an official arrive and begin questioning Akshinov about his relationship with the man he had tea with the night before. The merchant actually was found dead with his throat slit. Since the two rooms were next to each other, it only seemed natural that Akshinov must know something about it. Hearing this, Akshinov trembles in fear when the officials searches his belongings, and from his belongings they remove a knife which was streaked with blood. Now the men bind and arrest Akshinov, and his wife also visits him in jail and faints at the sight of him dressed as a criminal. He says they must petition the Tsar. Tsar means the king in Russia, to which she says she has already tried but met with failure. She asks him if he committed the murder, and hearing this, Akshinov weeps because his wife also had suspected him, and now he felt that it is only God who knows the truth and he should appeal only to God. He puts his entire faith in God and accepts his sentencing and ceremonial flogging. He is sent to work in the Siberian mines. Over 26 years in Siberia, Akshinov transforms into a pious old man. His hair turns white, his beard grows long, he walks with difficulty, and he never laughs. He prays often, and among other prisoners, he develops a reputation as a meek and fair man. One day, a newly arrived inmate named Makar Semyonich, who is about the same age as Akshinov and from the same hometown, gives an account of what brought him to Siberia. He was suspected of stealing a horse when in reality he had only borrowed it. Nevertheless, he was convicted and imprisoned. The irony is, he says that he had gotten away with doing something much worse earlier in his life. Akshinov suspects the man is responsible for framing him. He questions Semyonich, who cryptically responds in a way that confirms Akshinov's suspicion. Akshinov remembers everything he had lost and is plunged into misery. He longs for a way to get revenge but resolves to stay away from the man or even look in his direction. After 2 weeks, unable to sleep, Akshinov takes a walk near the prison to discover Semyonich digging a tunnel under his sleeping shelf. Semyonich angrily offers Akshinov escape and threatens to kill him should he tell the authorities about the tunnel. Akshino tells Semyonich has already taken his life and he shall do as God directs him. Soldiers discover the tunnel the next day. The governor arrives to question prisoners, none of whom admit to knowing anything about the tunnel. After wrestling with his desire for vengeance, Akshino declines to say what he knows about Semyonich's involvement, even if it means that he will be punished himself. That night, Akshino is about to nod off in his bunk when Semyonich sits down beside him. Semyonich bends over and whispers a plea for forgiveness. He confesses that it was he who killed the other merchant and stole his money. He then planted the knife so that Akshino would become the suspect. He falls to his knees and begs for forgiveness, promising to confess to the crimes so that Akshino will go free. Akshino replies that his life is already over and he has nowhere to go. At the sight of Semyonich's tears, Akshino weeps himself. Semyonich begs again for forgiveness. Akshino tells him that God will forgive him and that perhaps he himself is 100 times worse. Having said this, Akshino feels a lightness enter his body. He no longer desires to go home or leave the prison. He wants only to die. And the story ends with Semyonich confessing to the governor. By the time the officials arrange Akshino's release, Akshino has already died. It's a wonderful story by Leo Tolstoy. If you have anything more to add on to what I've said, please write it in the comment box. Like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have not subscribed my channel, please subscribe and support. Thank you.